Is this the fire from heaven? Is the fire for us to be set ablaze? Is that how it's all going to happen? We're just going to be set ablaze. The fire baptism. Maybe it is fire. His fire. That reminded me of a message that the Lord gave me back in July 3rd. And this was July 3rd, 2015. And how I all this time I still remember it was July 3rd because I was getting ready to go on vacation. I was getting ready to leave to go on vacation on the 4th. And so this was a night I had already crawled in bed. I had already done a lot of my packing. And I had crawled in bed. My husband was still staying up watching television, and I had just crawled in bed, and I was in bed just praying to the Lord, Father, protect us, watch over us as we go, and what have you. And the Lord said this to me. He said, do you trust me? Well, guys, when the Lord asks you that, and you're not even seeking a message from the Lord, and He's coming to you, and He's saying, do you trust me? You're getting ready to hear something big. And I said, of course I do, Father. In all things, I trust you. And that was my answer. And I was filled right then with the most complete sense of peace. It was just like complete all over me. So I don't know if that was the Lord's presence coming closer to me, to where I felt His peace and His love, or if He was just infilling me with His peace because of what He was getting ready to tell me. I wasn't sure, but either way, I was just filled with complete peace. And this is what He said. He said, when the wind blows north, it shall be a winnowing wind. You shall see fire raining down from heaven, and things about you changing, glowing with brightness. My love, do not be afraid, for it shall not hurt. You will be known as the bright one, helping others to see the truth. Remain calm. Allow my peace to fill you. You will know what to do. I shall call your name, and you shall be with me in an instant. My child, time will have no effect on you, and your disappearance will be as mere moments on the earth. Fret not over your family, for they are in my hand, and I will protect them. Be ready, my love. I am coming for you. And that was the end of the message. So guys, this was the first time that the Lord had told me fire was going to be raining down from heaven. Fire was going to be coming down. Now, is this what He's speaking of? I don't know. I don't know. But I know He's told me this. And mind you, this was the day before I went on vacation. So the whole week I'm I'm down at the beach. I'm looking up at the sky all day, all day, every day, at night. If I'm waking up, I'm here now. I'm looking. I'm ready for it. I'm just ready. But, it didn't come yet. This message was for a time in the future and a time that it would be coming. And so I was wondering, is that what He's talking about here?
I believe the Lord wants me to read the following vision, and that now is the time to do it. It's called Vision of the Rain of Fire, and it was received by Susan Cummings on January 6th, 2009. In the vision, I was looking at the world from a suspended position. I could see people and areas from a panoramic position, and also at times I saw things close up. The position varied with the scenes and messages I was given, so I would understand what I was experiencing. I saw what looked to me like great fiery rain coming from heaven. It came in great drops or elongated streams. It was not like the natural rain that we know of, but it was like spiritually infused living molten lava, a real fire, but it was also living spirit. It was the living fiery essence of the Father that was raining down towards the inhabitants below. As I watched, I saw that it fell simultaneously in one great event all over the earth. But it did not fall everywhere, and it did not fall upon everyone. It rained down suddenly, and I saw that many people did see it coming from above as it happened, as it was a real physical event that men could actually experience and see, but it was also a divine event that not all men would experience. However, I understood that men would know that God had entered into the corporate natural affairs of men divinely again. It was not a slow natural event like a storm or a weather phenomenon that you could track or follow and monitor. Actually, but from my perspective, it looked like a slow unfolding event. But I understood that it actually happened very fast. I was just being given an enhanced view for my understanding and learning. The raining fire of the Father that I saw falling was the real living essence of the Father himself that was being released upon those whom he had prepared to receive it below. It was interesting to watch this happen, as it fell upon people whom you would not expect nor think that it would, or even that it would not, by our thinking or reasoning of the qualifications. The fiery rain would come down and fall upon a particular person who would be either aware of it falling or not be aware of it falling at that particular moment, but when it did hit them, they underwent a sudden tremendous change. I watched close up as the living fire seemed to penetrate into them and infuse itself or radiate itself throughout their beings and bodies. They literally became the very same essence of the Father that the rain was that had fallen upon them. Their eyes burned with a new life, and even their skin was changed. It was not like ours now. It had a different texture or spiritual component to its makeup, and the fire flowed throughout their skin like a radiance. But it was not just an outward surface shining. It was an internal radiance from within the skin layers itself. It was not like human skin as we know it. The qualities had been divinely altered, and the people now had new natures. I did not fully understand all of this process, but it was real and it was new. They were of a different spirit, as they now embodied the divine in such a way that we have yet to experience up to now. The people who were infused would now physically embody the divine fire, but it also lived through them, and it became them as they became it also. They did not lose their individual personalities through the process, but each person was still their own unique vessel. But they were also now divinely infused and were more divinely aware of God and understood their earthly purpose. The fire seemed to fully express itself within them, so that it flowed outwardly also by the transformation that was happening to them. By this I mean that there was such a holiness and a terrible presence of the Father in them and on them that you knew that God the Father walked in them, and that he was now walking through them in a manner that we have yet to experience in any generation yet. God was manifesting himself in a people just like he did with Jesus when Jesus walked amongst us, but now these people did it openly. I then watched in the vision from a view further away, and I saw that it indeed only fell upon some and not upon others. The selection of who it fell upon was the Father's, and not of any man. Most of those that I saw that it fell upon were some people who were very weary and very embattled people. From earthly standards, we probably wouldn't have thought that they would amount to anything by their current life and their struggles that they had endured. But I understood that their unique trials and their life struggles that they lived out had actually served to prepare them for this new infusion that now came from the Father. One man that I saw in particular that received the fiery rain was very emotionally and spiritually broken. He had endured much physical hardship, and I understood that he had endured much persecution from the church. He had been misunderstood most of his life, and he also had thought that he had failed God, and that he had missed God, and that he had lost his place. But God used these things in his life to lead him closer to himself, and to purify this man to be able to be one that would become his chosen vessel. He was very beloved by the Lord, and he had learned humility through the suffering, which caused him to rise above the hardness and the hatred that's in the world, even though he did not understand why his life was this way. Not every person that I saw was as broken as this man that had received the infusion. I was just given to notice certain ones for my own learning and for our beneficial clarity. Many of the people I saw seemed to be living successful lives, as seemed to be spiritually healthy or spiritually active in their walks in spite of the hour in which they lived. But the common factor that I noticed with them all was that they each had undergone recent trials, and they were currently experiencing various levels of spiritual warfare and were in various stages of purging by the Lord in their walks. Most did not understand the full reason why their lives were embattled, nor understand the full plan of God behind it all, but they did seek God in the midst of it all. Another person I noticed was one that did not receive the divine infusion, but rather this person watched as others were filled and was angry and yelled at God. One man I saw screamed out that he was one of the servants that had prophesied of its coming and had taught on it, so he should be one that received it and that he deserved it. He was angry that the Father did not give it to him. I was afraid as I saw this in the vision, as I knew that his anger was pride and arrogance, and that the Father was just in this, for this man's heart was not truly right. I also knew that this man would fall, as he did not have the right heart necessary to stand in the next hour and to fulfill his course successfully. He had allowed the pride of position and the pride that comes from being used by God to bring forth revelation from God to others, to cause him to be disqualified and to harden his heart. I feared the Lord as I watched, for I knew that we all stand by grace, and not one of us can receive anything from God unless we truly believe, and unless we truly are fully surrendered to him in every way.
Hi, God bless you. I hope you're having a good day. So I want to share a few different dreams and things that all fit together, and then I'll tell you what I think, what I'm thinking the Lord is trying to show me and us with it. So I shared this dream already. It was an old dream. The world was like literally being ripped apart. People were panicking and screaming. And I was there. I felt complete calm and peace. I knew exactly what was going on, but they didn't. So, I just felt compassion for them. But all these people were crowding around me and screaming and saying, "We know you know what's going on," because they, excuse me, they knew that I knew just by looking at me. I'm not sure how. The dream didn't indicate how, but they knew that I knew just by looking at me. And so I didn't really know what to say to them, because to explain all of it just felt really overwhelming. They didn't know the first thing about Jesus or the Bible or the end times or anything. And then I saw another girl, and I knew that she knew what was going on just from looking at her. So I started walking next to her, and I said, what should we say to them? And she said, "I don't know. I'm trying to think about it too." So then something took over my body, and I floated up in the air, and a voice spoke through me and said, "Everything is about faith, hope, and love." And then everything shattered. So flash forward years later, I didn't really understand that at the time. But then more recently, I had a dream, and I've shared this one also. I saw a bunch of doves lighting up with fire, but it wasn't hurting them. They were just lighting up with fire, and there was fireworks, and I saw Caesar Milan in that dream. You can look at that dream more if you want. But the significant part of that, of this, what I'm saying now, is the doves lighting up with fire. Okay, then I had another dream where I was lit up with light, and I was going around talking to people about Jesus, and I knew where to go. It was like I was just being guided through everything. And I think that that's what I was being shown in the first dream, that I don't need to know what to say or worry about, how am I going to explain this stuff to people, that, I'll be spoken through, so it won't be me. So in this dream, I was lit up with light, and I knew where to go and when to leave. At one part of the dream, I was at this place, and I knew to leave there, that, there was no point in saying anything at that place. So, okay, another day, I was laying in bed, and nothing like this has ever happened to me in my life. So I was laying in bed, and I had my both of my eyes closed, but my one eye was in the pillow, completely covered by the pillow. And then I saw this really bright light shining into my eye. And so I sat up really quick and opened my eyes, and I didn't see anything at all in my room. So I just thought that was really weird. So I laid back down and closed my eye again and made sure it was covered by the pillow, and the light came back again. And then for like a few seconds, and then it disappeared. Okay, so a couple days later, as I was waking up, I heard audibly in my ear. And I've only had a few audible words in my life. So this was, I don't know, if you haven't had one, it's interesting, but it just sounds like somebody's talking to you right in the room out loud. And so as I was waking up, I heard, "They that are wise will shine like the brightness of the firmament, and they that turn many to righteousness as the stars forever and ever." Okay, also, my son, a year or so ago, he had a dream that he told me about back then, but I didn't really get it at the time. So I just was like, "Oh, that's interesting. Yeah, we're always supposed to strive to be more like Jesus." But in his dream, he said that my office was all glass and light, and I was sitting at my desk, but he said that it was weird to him because I looked like me, but I was Jesus. I was acting like Jesus. And he said it was kind of eerie because it was my body, but it kind of wasn't me. So there's that. Okay, so then I'm watching this other woman, one of her videos, and she was talking about how she had a vision of a whole bunch of people, but they were all Jesus. They were like he was working through all of them at the same time. So that confirmed my son's dream for me as well. And then recently, my son told me another dream that he had. He said that we were at a restaurant, and he and I floated up into the air. We were the only two people who did in the restaurant. But we floated up in the air, and then we started flying around preaching about Jesus to people. And everybody was looking at us like, "Wow, that's really weird."
Hello, brothers and sisters. How are you doing, my friends, my family? So, our Father, our King, Yeshua, has led me to say a few words. I am not going to write these down. I will write them down in a bit. But he shared with me a very beautiful vision, and he wants me to elaborate a little bit on it. I saw myself with my new body. Many brothers and sisters are receiving visions and words concerning that, and he wants to provide some extra information, I would say. I saw myself in the community where I live, and I had already my new body. I seemed a lot taller. I'm 6'3", so yeah, I was taller than that. It's pretty tall. My head almost reached the ceiling of the house, and I was 100% light. Well, I will say the roof is pretty low, so don't think like an extremely tall house. The apartment of our place is a little bit on the low side. So, but my whole body was 100% light. And my eyes were an interesting shade of green. They were like greenish, bluish, grayish at the same time, but it was like a green. And there were times where I would be like visible. You can see everything of my body. And it was light. And then there were some times where I was just like a burning star. I was just pure white light. And then my eyes looked like flames. But the world was completely dark. So he told me, he allowed me to understand that it has to do when the world is dark. The world will be covered in darkness. He has revealed that to me. And this is going to take place, the transfiguration, you can say, when the world is in darkness. And we will shine our light both spiritually and physically. It'll be literal light. And this is what he wants me to tell you. That our new bodies will be unique to each and single one of us, just like our physical bodies are unique. And whatever qualities it is that we have will be actually amplified. It'll be amplified to such a magnitude that it will actually be overwhelming. People will look at us, and either two things will happen. They'll be struck with fear, those who have not received Christ, or it'll be confirmation for them that their beliefs were incorrect and they must cleanse themselves of all that is false within their spirits, and they must follow Christ, because that's what we're going to be. We're going to be shining beacons of light, and we're going to be guiding the rest of the flock to Christ. And they are going to react, the majority of them will actually react in an extremely positive way. John did see in Revelations chapter 7, afterwards of the naming of the 12 tribes, a great multitude that no man could count that came from the great tribulation. And that is exactly our job, to unite all of them. And he also showed me that I received a vision where I was singing. I always somehow see myself singing and people drawing close to Christ through music. And I was singing, and then I was shining in light, and then children came and they started to dance around where I was, like they were just holding hands, enjoying time. And then suddenly, many signs started to emerge in the sky as well, like flowers started to grow out of nowhere. And also like doves and butterflies of light starting up to appear. It is going to be an extremely magnificent time. Something else that he has been showing me is that we're going to be grouped in pairs, either of 2 or more, because even though our bodies will be proof for themselves that Christ is reigning in our hearts, remember that the enemy will also be attempting to deceive people. And it is written in past that there has to be at least 2 witnesses. So we will be paired up and working in groups. And he is already starting to unite them. And many characteristics of our bodies are actually going to be somewhat similar. In the sense, like, there's some times where I see brothers and sisters wearing very similar jewelry on their crowns. Or they will have like a necklace and it'll be like the same gem. The same stone. It'll be either red or it'll be green. That's also going to be coming with our bodies, because along with our new bodies, we will also have our new garments. That's where I wanted to get to. Because we will have our crowns and we will also have our new garments along with our appointed stones, our gems, because we will receive jewelry.